Welcome to the Four Bells, where we are doing workout from home number 72. It is leg day in the gym, and the focus today is unilateral leg strength. So we're going to take a look at pistol squats today. That is going to be our main focus. So even if you do have weights available, barbells at home available, you want to do some kind of barbell squat, we are going to try and encourage you to join us in some pistol squatting. We are going to start off to get us ready today with three things. We're going to do some squat hanging out, we're going to do some wall squats, and we're going to do some split squats. There's a big squatty focus. It's almost like it's a squat day. We're going to use all three of these things to try and reinforce better mobility when it comes to pistol squats today. So we're going to use the squat hangout as a means to passively hang out, see what our ranges of motion are. We're going to use the wall squat as a means to look at thoracic or spinal extension, as well as hip flexion, our ability to pull our hips down. And last but not least, we're going to use the split squat as a means to address ankle dorsiflexion, or our ability to move our shin forwards when we squat. So we're going to do these three things 3 times in the warm-up. Let's see how they look. Right, with our warm-up today, we're doing some squat hanging out, we are doing some wall squats, we're doing some split squats. The squat hangout can be really as complicated and as fancy as you want to make it, but to put it at its simplest, all we're going to do is get ourselves to our feet wherever we normally like to squat, and then we're just going to passively hang out. That's it. Nothing more complicated than that. Why are we doing that? To really kind of gain an assessment of how the 3 joints of the lower body feel. How do the ankles feel? How do the knees feel? How do the hips feel? So, if you want to get more fancy, you can start by just rocking from side to side, trying to promote a little bit more dorsiflexion through the ankle. You can work on internal and external rotation from the hip. You can pry the knees out and work on the deep adductors of the hip as well. You can work on a little bit of thoracic rotation. You can do all manner of fun things, but just do it for about 30 seconds. From there, we are going to then come into the wall squat. So with the wall squat, ideally it's done with a wall. But if you have a very busy house with a lot of stuff going on, maybe you don't have access to a wall. So it can also be done with a post. But so that means you can face the post. But ideally what we're going to do is do a wall squat. So I like to have a little ball here so it catches me should I fall for whatever reason. I'm just a little bit nervous sometimes. So when I'm doing my wall squat, I could start with my feet maybe 6 inches away from the wall at first. All I'm trying to promote here is thoracic extension, my ability to keep my chest up as I go into hip flexion, which means closing the hip. So still getting the same position for my feet, I'm not all of a sudden crazy wide, same squat position, I keep the chest up, hands low, I'm going to push those hips back and then come down into my squat position, touch my bum to the ball, and stand back up. That was pretty easy for me, so I'm just going to bring my ball a little bit closer, because I'm going to move my feet a little bit closer. And ideally, we're going to try and get those feet to be as close to the wall as possible as I perform my wall squat. And if you're feeling super fancy, you can start to bring the feet in a little bit closer, and you can even start to bring the hands up as you go through your wall squat. Last but not least, we are going to do the split squat. But again, the split squat is not intended for a strength developer today, more of a diagnostic tool. So that means when I set up, I'm going to have a fairly wide base. From here, what I'm trying to focus on is, if you come with me as I come down, I'm going to shift all my weight forwards, and as you can see, I'm trying to close this ankle joint as much as possible whilst I keep the heel on the floor. I then press back up, come back down, shifting all that weight forwards, and then when we switch legs, comparing and contrasting the difference between 2 legs. So I'm doing a squat hangout for 30 seconds, 5 wall-facing squats, and then 3 split squats per leg. We're doing that for 3 rounds in the warm-up today. When it comes to the strength piece, we are doing 5 sets today. Each set is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. When we are doing pistol squats today, we're going to talk about the variables, or like the variants on the pistol squat that you can do. I would say most people in the gym, there's a very small percentage of people in the gym who can do a freestanding pistol squat. For the majority of people, we're going to have to do some kind of assisted or kind of scaled version of it. So we're going to go over a few of those so you guys have got a good idea of what to do. If I'm doing my pistol squats, regardless of what style or version I'm doing, they are very intense. They require huge amounts of balance and stability, which is why the rep scheme is a little bit variable. You can do somewhere between 3 to 5 reps on both legs, left and right. So, or right and left, whichever you prefer. All I would say is when starting the strength piece, start with the goal being I'm going to do 5 on each leg, and then either stay the same or scale down should you need to as the sets go on. From there, once our first 90 seconds is done, we're coming to our second 90 seconds where a minute of that 90 seconds, 60 seconds, is going to be put into some single leg calf raising. I'm going to spend 30 seconds on one leg and then 30 seconds on the other. We're going to start with just body weight and then add some weight if possible with either a dumbbell or goodness knows whatever you have laying around in your house. The purpose behind calf raises today is to try and create a stretch through the calf as well as a nice peak contraction, not only to create strong calves, but also try and promote greater range of motion in the ankle when doing our pistol squats. Let's have a look at both of those bad boys. Why am I standing up here all the way on this box? Well, because we've got to talk about pistol squats and we have to talk about the correct mechanical position to get into while we're doing pistol squats. So what I see a lot when people do pistol squats, I've said pistol squats 8 times already, is, I suppose, kind of the sequencing goes a little bit awry as compared to how they normally do it when they're doing a regular bodyweight squat or a weighted squat of some kind. What you'll find is that the ankles are really tight. All of a sudden the mechanical position changes, people start falling over all over the place. But we've got to pay homage to the things that we are doing the same way when we're doing a regular squat. So that means, I'm just going to show you from the top down. The thing that I see a lot with people is when they're doing their pistol squats, all of a sudden, instead of doing a squat like you normally would, where I do my squat, all of a sudden now, when I'm sending the hip back, people try to keep the shin super vertical, then I'm getting into weird positions where ideally, all we want to do is still allow that squat position to come down, which means that at the bottom of my pistol squat, I want to try and keep that weight forwards. That means the shin tracks forwards. Weight should be in the middle of the foot. I don't want to be back here with a vertical shin where I'm more likely to fall backwards. So that means I still want to squat like I'm doing a squat. It's not something brand new. It's the same mechanical position. Hip first, bring those hips down, and try and get that ankle to come forwards. So when you're doing pistol squats at home, you're going to have a few options available to you, but we want them to all look the same. Maybe you are performing them on a box, or onto your couch, or the edge of a bed. Maybe you are holding on to a TRX, or a swing, or rings, from a nice fixed position. And then lastly, you may be doing them from holding onto a door frame, or holding onto a post, or something where you can use your arms to assist you through the movement. So when you're doing your pistols today, we're going to be doing 3 to 5 reps per leg. Aim for 5 if you can, and then bring those reps down if they start to get a bit too tough. The calf raise is sometimes looked on in functional fitness arenas as a bit of a, kind of like an old school bodybuilding thing, but we have to remember that just because we're doing functional movements where we're trying to use the whole body, we're not using machines, we're trying to stabilize exterior loads, what we need to think about is that the calf is still an important part of the body. If you don't have a strong calf, you don't have a stable knee. So we're using calf raises today to not only help strengthen the whole leg, but also to promote ankle dorsiflexion, which in turn will hopefully help our pistols as well as the warm-up we did as well. Everything's working towards a pistol today. So when it comes to our calf raise, all you need is a step. It doesn't need to be crazy high, it doesn't need to be a giant box. I'm using 245s here at the gym, but you could just be on your steps at home. Or as we kind of talked about before, even just rolling up a towel very tightly and folding it in half will give you a step to do calf raises on. All I'm going to do is 30 seconds on one foot, so that means ball of the foot is on the edge of my step. I'm going to bring the heel all the way down, big stretch through the calf, come up onto the toes as high as possible. So I'm not doing it grandma style, I'm trying to get a lot of reps done in 30 seconds. And if this is super easy for you, all you have to do is maybe grab a dumbbell or a kettlebell and hold it on the same side as the leg you're trying to work. And of course, as soon as 30 seconds is done, we switch legs and we are going to do 30 seconds on the other leg too. So out of our 90 seconds, we're doing 30 seconds of calf raises left side, all right, 30 seconds on the other side, and then a 30-second rest before we get back into pistols. With the conditioning piece today, we have ourselves a little 16-minute workout. We have 4 one-minute stations that we're going to do for 4 rounds. Within each minute, we're splitting each minute into 40 seconds of work, followed by 20 seconds of full rest. No sneaky rest like we did last week where there was holds and other stuff. We're just working for 40 seconds and resting and transitioning on to the next exercise. So in minute number 1, we're going to do some overhead lunges. So the overhead lunge can be done as a walking lunge, can be in place depending on how much space you have. And of course, if you don't have space overhead to do overhead lunges, then we can just do some other lunge variant. But the idea behind the overhead lunge is it really tries to promote a better upper body position as well as mobility in the lower body at the same time, which is why that can be quite challenging for a lot of people. From there, in our second minute, we're going to do the Russian triangle, one of my favorite sit-up variations. We just need maybe a small weight to do that. From there, into minute number 3, we're going to do the dumbbell hang squat clean. Lots of words, fairly simple movements, requires a little bit of technique, a little bit of dexterity. And last but not least, the old hollow hold. So we are going to do all 4 of these movements 4 times. Let's spend a bit of time talking about how they look. Before we even think about overhead lunges, how are regular lunges? So for a lot of people, being on a kind of unilateral focus on legs is very tough. Balance is a big issue for a lot of people. So if you find that even just doing regular walking lunges or lunges in place is tough for you, I probably wouldn't recommend adding in overhead. If you are feeling pretty good with your lunges, we're going to add some overhead in. What I need to think about as always when I'm doing my lunges is feet should be on train tracks. We're trying to avoid lining them up. So whether you're using a plate, dumbbell, barbell overhead if you've got tons of space, all I can do is press that weight up and then I'm doing either a walking lunge if I've got plenty of space, or maybe I'm just doing lunges in place if I don't have a lot of room to move around. That's the overhead lunge. The Russian triangle is one of my favorite sit-up variations. You basically get to do like the kind of hybrid cousin between a sit-up and the Russian twist together. So why a triangle? It's because we've got 3 points. 1 either side of my body and 1 behind me. That makes it 3 points. That's a triangle, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, tell me geometry freaks, let me know. I'm going to sit back holding onto a weight. Maybe it's a light one, maybe it's a heavy one. I sit back, touch that plate to the floor. That's 1 point of my triangle. I sit up and rotate left, right. That's all 3 points of the triangle. I go back down, I switch direction. Right, left, left, right. And that's a Russian triangle. With the dumbbell hang squat clean, it sounds like a very complicated exercise, but all it means is there's a few parts of it that we're going to do. Part of it is we're going to have dumbbells. That's the dumbbell part. The other part is we're going to do a clean, which means bringing the weight to the shoulder. From there, we're going to do some kind of squat, and the hang part means we're starting in a hang. So if you were doing Olympic weightlifting, the hang position is anywhere from the top of the knees to like your pockets position, the crease of the hip. We're going to start in a very similar position with our dumbbells today. So that means if I grab my dumbbells, I start from the hang, I do a little hinge, and all I'm looking to do is use a hip drive to get those weights up. What I'm trying not to do is a swingy bicep curl. That is not it. I'm going to use the hips to drive the dumbbell to the shoulder. That's our hang, this is our clean, and then we perform our squat. We squat, stand up, hinge, drive the hip, receive the dumbbells and stand up. If timing is a little bit difficult for you, do the hinge, receive, pause, and then squat. But if you can, nice and fluidly into the squat and get those reps done. That is the dumbbell hang squat clean. With our hollow hold, the hollow hold comes from gymnastic training. But what we're trying to do is create what's known as midline strength, which basically means can I keep a strong body at a tight position. The hollow body hold basically means what I'm trying to do is turn myself almost into like a little crescent moon, where I'm bringing the rib cage down, tightening the abs, pressing my low back into the floor. That position is meant to carry over to things like handstands if you're a gymnast, but we are just using it as generalists, as a means to get a stronger core and to teach us how to brace. So if we're on the floor, very simple. All I'm looking to do is just push my low back into the floor as hard as possible. So we've got 4 levels here at the 4 bells we like to go through. Level 1 is thigh to the ceiling, knees point straight up. I'm going to reach forward with the hands, look through my feet, press the low back into the floor. Level 2 is one leg straight. Level 2.5 is the other leg. Level 3 is both legs straight, and level 4 is both arms straight at the same time. So all we're trying to do is make sure that we have got that rib cage down, abs tight, and at no point are we arching the low back. We don't want to lose contact between the back and the floor. So with our conditioning piece today, we're doing 4 rounds of those 4 1-minute stations, Throughout the 40 seconds, just try and keep moving consistently, or if you're doing hollow holds, keep the hold going. Have a great time. Let us know how you go.